Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the Washington Commanders offensive coordinator search and why it likely won't end up being Thomas Brown. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content, also with that like button and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a video. All that takes 1 second, go ahead and do it. So the Washington Commanders still have not hired their offensive coordinator. It's been a while, but at the same time it's been a while for other teams as well for head coaching jobs and offensive coordinator jobs. I feel like this process overall, this year for the NFL in terms of hiring coaches has been much longer than usual. Like I remember when the Commanders hired Ron Rivera, it was like literally right, the day or 1 or 2 days right after the season ended, we knew it was going to be Rivera, and other coaches were, finalized right after that. And then for, this year, it's just now that we're starting to get head coaching, finalizations like Sean Payton, DeMeco Ryans, and stuff like that. But the Commanders process is taking a little bit longer than usual, and it's going to take longer because they are interested in Eric Bieniemy. He's a strong candidate, and they're going to have to wait until after the Super Bowl to interview him. And I think if that's the case and they wait that long, probably because that's their top candidate. So they're going to wait, and that's probably the earliest that they could get their OC position filled is, a few days after the Super Bowl, because, the next day right after he's probably going to be celebrating if they win. If they don't, then maybe he can interview there. But let's talk about Thomas Brown. So on his podcast, John Keim said he doesn't think the Commanders will hire Thomas Brown as OC. Kind of said he doesn't see them going in that direction. Says lack of experience is likely a concern for Rivera in a make or break year. He wasn't really officially reporting it, just kind of giving his thoughts, and he talked about how, like, if it was his first year or maybe even second year with the Commanders, then maybe he would opt to go for someone like Thomas Brown. But he is a little bit on the hot seat. I mean, he is on the hot seat because there will be a new owner, very likely, hopefully. And if there's a new owner, they're going to be evaluating everything with Rivera, OC, defensive coordinator, front office, and everything after the season's over. So Rivera needs to have a good year if he wants even a chance to stick around. Even if he does well, there's no guarantee that the owner really likes him and wants to keep him around. So that's just something to consider. And I guess Rivera doesn't really want to go through like trial and error, and he doesn't really want to babysit the OC in a make or break year. He wants someone who's experienced, or that's what Keim thinks likely is the case. So that kind of goes to Pat Shurmur, maybe Ken Zampese, although he doesn't have a lot of OC experience. I'm trying to think of someone else. Eric Bieniemy, Anthony Lynn. I really think it's going to come down to Anthony Lynn or Eric Bieniemy, and if those guys want to even coach here. I think Anthony Lynn's a little bit higher of a chance, but I think Eric Bieniemy, there is a shot he goes here. But I do like Thomas Brown, and this still doesn't mean that they won't hire him. There is still a chance, but Rivera wants experience. But Thomas Brown, he doesn't have any play calling experience. Was a tight ends coach for the Rams and assistant head coach this year. Was the running backs coach before. Was the running backs coach at Georgia, South Carolina. I believe he might have been an OC for college. I'm not completely sure. He was a running back in the NFL and a running back at Georgia as well. So that's kind of his experience, and I think he's a good candidate. The only kind of knock on him is that, and here's the thing, they interviewed him. The only knock on him is that the Rams had a OC position open and they didn't really interview him. That's a little fishy for me. Worked under Sean McVay for at least 2 years, and McVay doesn't even, and he's an assistant head coach, and McVay doesn't even think to interview him for the OC job. A little bit concerning to me, but still, he was my top candidate before Eric Bieniemy came into the picture. Eric Bieniemy is my top candidate by far, and then I would probably go Thomas Brown. And then after that, I really don't like many of them. I think Anthony Lynn would be okay just because he didn't have a lot of success with the Lions, but got a full year with Kyle Shanahan, and obviously Kyle Shanahan saw something in him to hire him, and he did some good things with the Chargers. So I would not mind Anthony Lynn. Would I love it? No. I would not love Ken Zampese, Pat Shurmur, any of those guys, Eric Studsfield, Charles London. But, Anthony Lynn I probably like a little bit more than some of those other guys like Pat Shurmur and Ken Zampese. And what this means for the other candidates in terms of, okay, the experience factor that Rivera probably wants in a make or break year. Well, Charles London doesn't have much experience. He's, I think, 48 years old, which, kind of middle age for coaches, but he doesn't have any play calling experience. Eric Studsfield doesn't really have any play calling experience either, I don't think. He's been a running backs coach for a long, long time, but that's really it. These other guys, these final candidates like Anthony Lynn, many, many years as a Chargers play caller, I think was an interim OC for the Bills, I believe, or he was just the OC, and then got a year with the Lions as well. So he has a lot of experience, not amazing, but he would probably be what the commander or Rivera wants in a run first scheme. He's good at scheming things up in the run game. So that is my guess right now, is that it'll be Anthony Lynn. That would be my guess on who it is. And if that happens, I'm not too happy, but I'm not going to be super upset about it. He's probably like the third or fourth guy on my list. And that's not saying much because I don't really like this list that much. It's Eric Bieniemy. If Eric Bieniemy happens, I will be ecstatic. That is a home run hire. If Thomas Brown happens, I'll be happy, but not ecstatic because it's not guaranteed. He doesn't have OC experience. There's a reason why, or there's some reason why the Rams are interviewing for him for a head coaching job. But he's a younger guy. He's probably more innovative, and he did work under Sean McVay for a couple years, so there might be something there, and that's what I would like. But that would be more of a long-term thing, and who knows? I mean, we're kind of living in the short term here in terms of Commanders land, because after this year, they're likely, our whole coaching staff and front office, we'll clean house. So we'll have a new owner, hopefully this offseason, and then after that, could have a new head coach, GM, OC, and DC. And if Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator, and he does a good job, maybe that puts him as a front runner to be head coach, and maybe that's a little bit of an incentive to work here. And then also, he does have a connection with Ron Rivera. I believe they were on the same staff at one point, I think. And, Ron Rivera has a good connection with Andy Reid, and of course, Eric Bieniemy has been working with Andy Reid for a while. But there's another spot that Eric Bieniemy is trying to go for, and he's interviewing for, I believe, or they requested, and that's the Ravens. And Harbaugh has a lot of, he's worked with Andy Reid as well, and with Rivera as well. So I think the Ravens probably going in another direction with Robinson. I think his name's like Zach Robinson. I heard he's the front runner, but it could be Eric Bieniemy as well. And yeah, we're gonna have to wait until after the Super Bowl, which is unfortunate. We basically probably around 2 weeks from now, we'll probably know who the OC is. I'm hoping it's Eric Bieniemy or even Thomas Brown, but it doesn't look like it's very likely that it'll be Thomas Brown, Charles London, or maybe even Eric Studsfield just because of the experience. Probably Shermer, Lynn, or Bieniemy. That's what I'm thinking in terms of the top three. So that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace.